Now we go back to Europe. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has confirmed he will attend the inaugural meeting of US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace in Washington in 2 weeks. Orban has made the announcement stating that the meeting will focus on peace initiatives including Gaza. However, the board's charter suggests it could expand beyond Gaza and rival the United Nations role. The board has been criticized for requiring $1 billion payments from permanent members, sparking claims it could become a pay-to-play version of the UN Security Council. Orban, who is a close ally of President Trump, attended the board's launch in Davos last month. Now we welcome back Mr. Raymond Vickery. He's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Mr. Vickery, for staying with us. Now, looking at this, how do you analyze the current status or the effectiveness of any mediation efforts by UN? And do you think that this should be a wake-up call, as a lot of leaders, including Hungary's Prime Minister, saying that they will be attending this Board of Peace inaugural meeting?
Well, thanks again for letting me comment on this. The Board of Peace, if you read what was put out from the White House, is really nothing more than a vehicle for President Trump to become, if you will, a quasi-sovereign in regard to world peace matters. It posits President Trump as the chairman. There is no mechanism for either removal or succession, even after he would cease to be president of the United States. So it's a very top-down organization based upon what President Trump has been familiar with as a real estate developer. It's a corporate organization in which power flows down from the chairman into the membership of the organization. It is obviously designed to replace the United Nations and indeed multilateral organizations across the board, with perhaps some exception for NATO and others. But even that's not clear, because President Trump has attacked NATO. Now, the argument that Viktor Orban and Trump make is that the United Nations has not kept the peace in regard to Ukraine and Russia, and it's been a failure, and therefore you have to have some other organization which will step in and be able to bring peace to the difficult areas in the world, not only Ukraine, but Gaza, and indeed the way in which it's set up, the power of the so-called Board of Peace would be worldwide. So Viktor Orban is saying yes, he's willing to go along with President Trump, and that this will be the new order of world institutions, and you will be able to disregard United Nations, WTO, the multilateral organizations in favor of this Board of Peace. It's a very short-sighted approach. There are no principles stated for the action of the Board of Peace, like there are for the United Nations in regard to its charter, which sets forth very plainly principles of anti-imperialism, non-aggression, non-control of other nations. That is not present at all in the charter for the so-called Board of Peace. So Viktor Orban is throwing in his lot with President Trump and his approach to international affairs. But in my view, it is absolutely necessary that the world get back to the principles upon which the United Nations was founded. Now, it is true that the United Nations hasn't been effective in many instances, but that lack of effectiveness has been sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy when nations, particularly Russia and China, have been unwilling to compromise and go forward. And indeed, the United States is rapidly undermining the United Nations. So the United Nations and its principles have largely been a forum for peace and prosperity, ineffective in some areas, but the way forward is reform, as India has advocated and others have indicated, rather than throwing the baby out with the bath, if you will, and turning this over to Chairman Donald Trump and his acolytes, including Viktor Orban.
With that, I would like to thank Mr. Vikri for sharing that insight with us on NewsX World. Now we move the focus on to Bangladesh. Ramesh Chandra Sen, a veteran